What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us here today on the VSO Gun Channel. It is a beautiful day out here today. It may not look like it. It may look a little bit gloomy back there, if you will, but compared to what it did last week, this is beautiful weather. For those of you who aren't tracking, last week was Ohio deer gun season, and I thought I would do like a recap video of kind of the happenings of last week, if you will. So deer hunting in Ohio is a really big deal. And which doesn't really line up with the way that the state does the season dates. It's usually the Monday after Thanksgiving through the Sunday of that week, and there's usually a weekend sprinkled in there these days, but when I was growing up, that was it. It was the week after Thanksgiving, and that was it. And to give you an idea, we didn't have school when I was growing up during that week. Like, everybody took off school. Like, some of the schools like literally had the week off because we were in a fairly economically depressed area. And like, that's how a lot of people, a lot of families got their meat for the year, was the deer harvest that happened after Thanksgiving. So, I mean, it was a big deal. Nowadays, it's not nearly as a big deal. There's a lot of industry that has moved into the area, which is good. But we also have friends that come in. So my friend Evan from shootsteel.com, you guys have seen his targets all over the range for forever. He comes up. Sometimes he brings some of the crew with him, but he came by himself this year to do some deer hunting. They got little deer where he's from, and they're hard to hunt there. So here we have really big deer, and we have it set up to do good work. If you have really crappy weather for the singular week that you allow your citizens to take deer with modern firearms, you know, that government selling your rights back to you type thing, then your deer harvest is going to be down. That's just the way it's going to work, and that's pretty much what we saw this past week. Our guys still did good work, but for the most part it was down. So to describe this weather to you guys, it was raining sideways day one, which is always a bad omen for the whole week, and then it snowed the rest of, it snowed for 3 days. Which is good. I like snow. I'll take 28 degrees and snowing, especially because it kind of takes out the deer camouflage type thing. They still think that they're brown on brown, as you can see behind me, brown on brown, when they're brown on white, and they absolutely stick out, which I'll take that. But then it torrential downpoured for the rest of the week. And by torrential downpour, what I mean is I almost never have water in my basement anymore. My basement had like 30 gallons of water in it when I came in a few days ago. So this is a gun channel, and we're obviously all here to talk about the weaponry that I used last week. But before we get to that, I want to give a quick synopsis of kind of the situation that we've got here in Ohio. Ohio hunting laws are absolutely draconian, and to give you an idea, when I was growing up, you could use a shotgun, muzzleloader, pistol, or bow, and that was it. There was no leniency in either on that whatsoever. You couldn't hunt with a 308, couldn't hunt with a 5.56 gun. Any what you would think of a modern rifle cartridge you could not use. Several years ago, they legalized the use of a select group of straight wall cartridges, and they've been expanding that list ever since. Right when that happened, I went out and got this beauty. This is a Henry 4570 all-weather, and as you can see, I've made some upgrades to it. You saw our video on the Midwest Industries M-Lock handguard, and this is really great for attaching like a light when I'm coming out of the tree stand or something like that, or maybe we're shooting in the way the laws work here is you got a half hour after sunset, so they can be really low light. Well, this year Henry started making these Picatinny rails, so I've always hunted with this gun with the iron sights. Well, now I've got myself a little primary arms on there, and this thing did absolutely great. This thing is an absolute tack driver. 25 yard zero, 200 yard effective zero. So what that means is put it on at 25, put it on at 200, you're going to smack the target. So, and I did validate this. I can absolutely hit the 200 yard steel with this red dot. Winner. Now, the ammunition I used was the Lehigh Defense controlled fracture round. It does an excellent job and opens up very early, creates a large exterior wound channel, and then the base of the projectile carries through, doing some pretty good damage. Especially here in Ohio, the deer are really fat, especially on our place because we plant a lot of corn, and in doing so, the deer get really fat, and that can clog things up and make them difficult to track. Now, that's usually not the case with the 4570. Usually, you're not tracking them very far. Now, we'll come back to the 4570 here in a second, but I did want to show you guys a few things. I went through and I was doing another project that required some brass work, so I went through and brassed all of the screws on there to kind of match with what we got going on here, and then the brass bead on the front, if you will. So I thought it was a good addition. We'll come back to this here in a second because I want to talk about some of the other stuff that I used. You're only allowed one gun in the state of Ohio when you're hunting. However, you can, if you have a concealed carry permit, you can carry your concealed weapon. And I used two different concealed weapons this week, one for kind of testing purposes and one for practical purposes. So for testing purposes, I used the brand spanking new Canik TP9 Elite Combat, and there'll be a full video coming out on this gun shortly, but it allowed me to attach a can to the gun while I was carrying it, but also it allowed me to have a smaller firearm when I was doing a lot of the walking part of the hunting. If I was trying to push deer to somebody else, then I could have a lighter weight gun, because the gun that I actually used most of the week for my concealed weapon was the 50 Action Express Desert Eagle from Magnum Research, and this gun is a lot of fun. I carried it in this guy. You guys probably saw a video out on my NSR Deagle holster, and it did an excellent job. I just wore it underneath of my coveralls because it is an outside the waistband holster, but I wear really big coveralls, so for the most part it was pretty easy to conceal. So going back to 4570, the rain's coming, go figure, but 4570 has been king here for some time. I use 4570. My dad uses 4570. My youngest brother uses 4570. Heck, you can hear that ATV over there. My neighbor uses 4570. In fact, he uses a Henry Allweather as well. Now, I love this gun, and this thing absolutely is accurate. It's reliable. I've never had an issue with it. It's a beautiful firearm. It can handle all this crap that's coming out of the sky right now. It's a great gun, especially, you know, with the optics rail and stuff like that. You can put scopes and things on it. This thing is absolutely great. But I'm thinking about changing, and I want your guys' opinion on this thing. I'm gonna give you my thought process. I've already established that I love this gun, and it's great. But there's a new caliber called 450 Bushmaster, and Mr. Tactical Bacon hunted with it last year. Unfortunately, he just had his first child, so he was unable to attend deer season this year. I'm sure he would have hunted with it again this year. It suppresses really well, and it's compatible with AR-15s. So my thought process is this. As an internet personality that's in the 2A community, I believe that it is my responsibility to be seen holding a modern sporting rifle whenever possible. Now, don't get me wrong, this thing's all tacked up with the M-LOK rail and all that sort of stuff, but it's not a rifle. I mean, it's not a black rifle. So I want your guys' opinion, what you think about that caliber, what you guys think about the concept that I've got with that, and whether I should pull the trigger on that thing or not, because I've already got the can for it. I kind of need justification for my purchase. Usually people go to people like me to watch our videos to validate their purchases they've already made. Well, it's the shoes on the other foot, and I'm now asking you to validate my thought process and my purchases that I haven't made yet. So I really am though asking you guys what you guys think about that whole idea, and whether that should be what I'm doing or not, especially given the current political climate. Now, that said, I can take all this crap off because it's this portion of the video is over, and I'm gonna load up that Desert Eagle because I didn't get to shoot it at all last week. Wow, I feel so free. All that orange is off me. It's not blowing out the dynamic range on the camera anymore. Sorry for doing you guys dirty like that, but hey, I had to be in character for the concept of the video, right? So, 50 Desert Eagle. Love this gun. This is an awesome shooter. I have a great time every time I get to shoot it. However, 50 Action Express is no joke. And I'm going to start off this segment by saying that this is what I call an expert caliber. And what I mean by that is this is not a gun that you hand to a 6-year-old and say, have a good time. This gun can be dangerous if you don't fully respect it. All guns should be respected and treated with the utmost responsibility, but so much more so for the 50 Desert Eagle and all Magnum handguns. Now, what I would say is that the 50 Desert Eagle is way safer than a double action Magnum revolver. And the reason why is if you've got somebody who is incapable of supporting or absorbing the recoil, the gun can recoil and then double up, and we can see that we're already we can see where we're going here. It's a dangerous situation. So a lot of times if you have somebody who wants the experience of shooting a Magnum revolver, particularly the double action ones, the single action ones, you don't have to really do this because it's pretty impossible for this to happen. But the double action ones should be loaded every other cylinder. And the reason why is they can't accidentally double up the gun. The Desert Eagle pretty much eliminates that as well, because you have all this reciprocating mass that has to work and then work back. And what that results in is if you rapid fire this handgun, the gun actually ends up walking itself down because the slide is slamming closed on that round and it pushes the gun down. So anyway, enough yakking. We're gonna see what I can do. 50 Action Express, and we're gonna start off with just this little target down here. And fireball's coming. Hit. Ooh. Let's see. I can barely see that one, and it's painted, so we'll see if we can hit it here. Dud. You can see my flinch there a little bit. But there we go. Sad face. This gun has been loaded all week. It is not surprising me that it is doing this at all. So, because it is a large gun, large moving parts, often need a lot of lubricant. So try this again. Here we go. So I've picked up those 2 rounds off the ground and loaded them back in this magazine. They're out of the box, they're expensive. So we're gonna go ahead and shoot them. Now I wanna talk about recoil management versus flinching and stuff like that. If you're not flinching after the shot on this gun, you're wrong. It will hurt you if you don't. You can see the video of the young lady on the internet that didn't fight the recoil and she took the front sight right to the face. So you absolutely have to fight the recoil on this gun, and that's one of the other reasons that I say that this is a expert handgun. You have to be able to manage the recoil and accurately shoot. I've never had a problem hitting what I shoot at with any of the Magnum research guns, but you have to understand the difference between flinching and recoil mitigation. The important thing is that when the sights are aligned, the shot breaks, the gun doesn't move. After the bullet leaves the muzzle, then you want to fight the recoil back down, and that often turns out looking like a flinch when the gun doesn't fire. So, to illustrate that, we're going to shoot those. They're about 25 yards. Let's see if we can hit them. Shot a little bit low. Shot a little bit low. Nope, couldn't hit them. Well, good thing I have a 44 mag barrel because excuses are running pretty thin today.